Welcome to the ScaleGrid screencast series. In today's screencast, we're going to see how easy it is to manage advanced MongoDB configurations like replica sets and shards with ScaleGrid MongoDirector. To get started, let's log into the ScaleGrid Central Console. I'm going to type in my credentials and log in. The ScaleGrid console provides a single pane of glass to manage all your MongoDB deployments irrespective of what cloud they're running on, whether it's public cloud or private clouds. It shows you a listing of your instances and also the health of each instance. For each instance, it also gives you several properties like what is the size of the instance, what version of MongoDB is deployed, and also the connection string for the instance. On the top of the screen, you can also see various actions you can perform on the instances like backup, restore, etc. For today's exercise, we want to create a MongoDB replica set. In order to do that, let's click the Create Cluster button. First thing we have to do is enter the name for the cluster. So I'm going to call it MongoDB Demo Cluster. Next step is to choose the machine pool for the cluster. I've actually gone ahead and created a machine pool in my VMware vSphere deployment, so let's go ahead and choose that. Next is to choose the size of the cluster, and we have three options: small, medium, and large. I'm going to pick small. As an admin, you can define what small, medium, and large means in terms of CPU, memory, and disk in the settings pane. Next step is to choose the version of MongoDB. I'm going to pick 2.0.6. The next screen asks us for the replica details, and I'm going to choose to enable replica sets, and I'm going to choose to create 3 replica sets. And that's it. As a user, you don't have to go ahead and deploy individual machines, configure the OS on them, configure MongoDB on them, etc. All you have to do is go through the wizard, click create, and the ScaleGrid server actually uses the APIs of the private cloud to go ahead and talk to the underlying private cloud to allocate the machines, allocate the right disks, make sure the proper OS is installed on them. Then it installs MongoDB and configures the replica set on the MongoDB. And depending on network conditions, it does take a few minutes. While it's running, you can also see the progress of the various steps, and if there are any errors or if there are any messages, you can see it here as well. For the purposes of this demo, what I've done is I've gone ahead and pre-created a cluster. So let's go take a look and see how it looks like. On the VMs tab, you can see that it's a cluster with 3 replica sets, and you can also see the 3 VMs it's running on. And here is the name of the replica set as well. Another cool thing that the ScaleGrid console will do for you is as soon as the cluster is running, the instances are automatically provisioned for monitoring by Tangent's Mongo monitoring service. All you have to do once the cluster is up and running is hop over to the monitoring tab, and as you can see, these clusters are already configured by monitoring by MMS. So all you have to do is, if you want to see the performance counters for a particular server, you go in, click the name of the server, and voila, you can see all the perf counters for the particular server. A few other actions that you can do on your deployed clusters. If you have a cluster, you can choose to back up the cluster to a central location, and once backed up, you can also choose to restore the cluster from the same backup location. Another feature, the other cool feature that we have here is, if you do have a MongoDB server that you'd like to replicate for dev test or reporting purposes, it's as easy as selecting that server and pressing the clone button, and a ScaleGrid server will do all the right work necessary to create an exact copy of your MongoDB server. And as you can see, ScaleGrid MongoDirector makes it really easy to manage advanced MongoDB deployments like replica sets and clusters. MongoDirector is currently in beta, so if you're interested, please feel free to sign up. Thanks folks, that's all for today's screencast.